I got a question for you guys. How dead is the MCU halfway into 2022? Because according to some people, it's very dead. It's very very dead because
Oh,
they've
it's just
had
a day that ends in Y.
I look. I went and looked at the facts. Uh, Moon Knight is the third most watched Disney Plus original series. Clearly, it's not one or two. So that means it's not doing good. Doctor Strange didn't even hit $1 billion, so it's dead. And literally, Miss Marvel just came out, and well, I mean, it's dead on arrival. Thor is like 4 weeks away. Nobody's talking about it because, well, they are, but I'm trying to find a reason for why they're not. But hey, the MCU is dead. Apparently, I think I saw Screen Rant. It was one of those websites that wrote in. I was like,
Of course, it's Screen Rant.
automatically, I was like, oh, it's gonna be dumb, and ooh, oh boy, yeah. So yeah, I
Most people need to know that the whole reason those articles get posted is because the editor tells the writers that they need something to
Yep.
write about. Doesn't matter
Yeah,
what it
it's
is,
the
just to write it.
it's the comicbook.com model. So we don't
Yeah.
care what it is, just put an article out. We need the I can't remember what you call it for websites.
we need
Of
something
course,
that's
that
sensational.
website took off and makes like $1 billion or whatever.
And
that
that's
Screen
the
Rant's like,
thing,
we
like-
can't need to do that.
if you look at like comicbook.com, right? Go read any 3 articles based on the same film. The opening paragraph and the last 2 paragraphs, which make up about 90% of the article, are all
Mhm.
copy and paste, and they just enter a sentence and whatever the new director quote is and fill it and toss it out there, and it enters the system and people will click it. So that's what it's always about. Like, again, that's been journalism since the beginning of journalism. So I'm not saying, they're doing it wrong. That's always how it is. It's like when anything happens, they're like, and we have an exclusive major update.
Let us describe the movie in the trailer and then the latest bit of news and then another
Right.
bit more news. Oh, here's a cast listing to pad out the words.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, it's like that. And I get they need to come out here and be like, okay, the MCU's finally gonna die, or this is the year. But we're literally looking at Doctor Strange making 950 million by the time its theatrical run is over and it's out on Blu-ray and 4K in a couple weeks.
Yeah,
like
who would have thought that Doctor Strange would make close to $1 billion?
Exactly.
We all know why that movie made close to $1 billion. We all know why.
Peggy Carter? Yes.
No. We all know why.
America Chavez?
No.
Yeah, it was her, all the rage.
Oh,
People sat
We
there
all
and
know
raged.
why. We all know why.
was it Scarlet Witch?
No, it was Wong. It was Wong, man.
Well, I mean, look,
Wong.
Wong is pretty great. So,
If it was Wong, why didn't Shang-Chi make more?
well, I mean, hey, look,
People didn't know he was in it until the
so
end.
I do want to actually bring that up, and I'm glad you segued us into it. People have been saying, well, clearly the MCU was dying last year and it was only saved by Spider-Man. Guys, Shang-Chi was the first film officially out to theaters only, no Disney Plus or anything, because Black Widow before it did the split release. Same with the Suicide Squad, which both of those technically flopped at the box office, but they had, the releases on digital fronts. Shang-Chi and then Venom and Eternals are the first 3 films to release to theaters where they had a wide release and they were like, look, we're releasing them. We're not doing the digital thing. We're just going to see what happens. So if they bring that into the argument and then, but Spider-Man clearly, that's not an argument because let's be real. People were still afraid to go back in September, October, November. They went for Spider-Man because they're like, well, if I'm going to risk my life dying from something, might as well be Spider-Man.
That's basically what it was.
That's legit why
So
many
Shang-Chi,
people.
no way, man. Spider-Man comes out. I'll risk it all for this.
Yeah, you can't compare. And then if we're gonna do that going into this year, we've already seen huge hits. Like the Batman was huge, 770 million. Doctor Strange almost $1 billion. If they're not dying, they're just slowly picking steam back up. And again, we're seeing that these films, I don't know why the expectations for them must do $1 billion, and why does Moon Knight have to be the biggest thing in the MCU ever to stream? Guys, think about it this way. Moon Knight has never appeared in another MCU property and is an original character, first time showing up on Disney Plus for Marvel Comics, and he's like their third most watched thing. That alone is impressive more than anything. He outperforms characters that people have been wanting to see more live action of, like Hawkeye, for example. Like, what? People are just insane. That's honestly what I don't get.
It's just to make a skewed metric, right?
Uh-huh.
So if it doesn't hit the billion, then it's like, no. Because then if you look at every other thing for what they like, it's only got to hit like 500 million.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing success. It's like, okay.
You mean Shazam? Captain Marvel failed at 1.2 billion, but Shazam is a huge victory and a death blow to the MCU with 320 million. It barely made $1 in actual profits. It's like, what? How? Yeah. And then they're like, well, it's because it's the first Shazam outing and he's never been in the DCEU. Just like Captain Marvel?
Well, I don't know how the Snyderverse is faring now when we have Reverse Flash running around. So.
But NFTs, bro, it's fine.
I was starting underage NFTs a decade ago. Don't worry about it. What?
Yeah. That can be clipped out of context. Goddamn.
Yeah, that was a thing. So, all right. Well, that's it. The MCU. We talked a little bit about DC. I guess the whole Ezra Miller situation. It was just, it's a whole thing. And actually, technically, I want to bring this up. Somebody was saying, like, technically, if you look at the whole NFT thing, there was something, I guess, Minecraft skins or something back in the day was a suggestion. So they're like, technically, miners and NFTs were a thing before. I was like, I don't know what they're talking about because I don't play Minecraft.
When you say miners in that context, do you mean people who play Minecraft or underage kids?
I don't know because I didn't go further into the article. I just saw it. I was like, oh, okay. And I shook my head and said, well.
The only thing I know is that if it was the skins, they did monetize them. So you would have to buy them.
Yeah.
So there you go. So that's that. Anyways, let's get on to our next